Collections, however, it's hard to go past the staggering amount of football memorabilia gathered by this man, Footscray's golden-haired full forward of the 50s, Jack Collins. The record-equalling star of the club's only premiership win in 1954, Collins has spent a lifetime building a collection of great magnitude.
My name is Jack Collins, and according to my wife, I'm a victim of the collector's bug. I have put together a few items here that may be of interest to people. In particular, I have the football that we played in the grand final in 1954. I was lucky enough to kick 7 goals. Should have kicked 8. That's another story. But the late Jack Hamilton, who was a very good friend of mine and was the Assistant Secretary of the League, unbeknown to the then Secretary Eric McCutcheon, poor old Eric, I think he turned over in his grave. He knew I had the football, and they only used the one ball on that occasion, and I later got all the players that played in that game, all my teammates, to sign it for me. Some of them are a bit faint in biro, but they're all there, and it's one of my treasured possessions. I have been offered quite a considerable sum of money for the football, but it's something I won't part with. Most of my collection will never be sold because you only get it once, and I know a lot of people say, well, why not share it around with others, but it gives me a lot of pleasure. This piece here is for the best player in the VFL in those days. Was run by Plaques. They used to have the Plaques inquest on radio on a Saturday evening after the game, and people had to vote. It was a popular vote, and this particular item was sculptured, and it's a very, very heavy item. At the time, they were valued at £500, and that's going back in 1952. There were only 3 of them ever presented by Plaques, and the Plaques inquest winner folded. I won the first one, and Ted Whitten won the next 2 in 1953 and 54. Now, this particular plaque was donated by the committee to the 20 players that represented the club on that famous day, and being their only premiership. Again, it's something that's very close to me, and it has all the team and the scores of that great day inscribed there on the plaque itself. This is the record of the 1954 grand final, which brings back a lot of memories because I was a model in those days. That's the trophy I won for the leading goal kicker of the year, and I also modelled. I was a little bit slimmer in those days, but that's the actual record. But this particular one was brought out by the Victorian Football League, and in those days they used to have a dinner for the Premier side, and they presented us with this particular one with the cover on it and the record inside, and that is far more collectible as far as keen collectors of football memorabilia. I'm sure they'd love to be able to get their hands on something like that, because again, there was probably only about 30 of those that were ever produced. I picked out a couple of jerseys, or Guernseys, or jumpers, or whatever you like to call them, that are very close to me. This particular one was one that Ted Whitten played in his 321st game, and you can see there it's a bit tattered and torn, and we were able to get Charlie Sutton and Wally Donald, Ron Stockman, Peter Box and Doug Reynolds to sign that on the front, but that is one of Teddy's original jumpers. This particular jumper is the last Victorian jumper that I had. You'll see the plastic V and the number 5. I think it might fit one arm these days. I don't know how it should go too well, but most of my Victorian jumpers and my Footscray jumpers, when my son was playing with Spotswood, I gave them to him, and he used to train in them. And then later on, when he was involved in harness racing as a trainer, he used to wear them around the stables. But this is a definite one that's close to me. I was very fortunate to come across this little treasure trove of photos. They rate back to the 1930s, and there's some great football shots here. Most of them are team photos, but there's quite a number of the Richmond sides of the 40s. Jack Dyle when he first started off, and Percy Bentley, Jack Titus, Mopsy Fraser, Bill Morris, all those, although Bill Morris came in the 40s. But this particular one here was one when Dyer would have taken over as the captain and coach after Percy Bentley left. There's one here of South Melbourne with the great Laurie Nash. I am the greatest, Laurie Nash here. And there's a great shot here of the Geelong side, and when you look at Reg Hickey here, you can see why he was such a great player. The strength of the man there, it depicts how good a player he was. When you go through all the photographs, you can see the great players that stand out with their physique, and there's no doubting their football ability. This also is one of my favourite pieces, because it was the first year that Weg brought out his famous Weg premiership posters, and 54 was the first of them. And in those days you couldn't get the poster until the Monday after the game, and it was from the newsagents you had to purchase it. And Weg then followed it off each year with these posters. Some of them he had runners-up posters as well, but this started off a craze. It's highly collectible. There's very few of them in circulation, and I was fortunate enough at a reunion of our 54 side. I got them to sign down the side of the mount there, which again makes it more collectible than just the poster itself. These are interesting pieces among many items of memorabilia that I collect, and I do go around to collectors' fairs from time to time and pick up some things. And this particular membership card relates back to 1921 when my father played with Essendon. And in those days, a lot of people probably are not aware that Essendon's home ground was where the Jollymont railway yards are at the present time. And it's got a lot of pleasant memories to me. I looked up in their Flying High in their book about Essendon. I did read a paragraph where my father had been suspended for being a naughty boy, and he had to apologise to the committee. So that holds something special. Naturally, our 54 premiership membership ticket, and this particular one, little item, goes back to 1935, Footscray membership ticket. But the Essendon one is probably holds something special to me, just as much as the 54 membership ticket of the grand final.